Good morning, everybody. I had 8 seconds to spare. I was telling Darren, and he was texting me, Bob, you have 3 minutes. I'm trying to get on a Zoom call, a conference meeting at 9 o'clock. I'm supposed to be doing this at 9 o'clock, which he said, how do you do that? So I was trying to actually get on the Zoom call, and at least be on there, and then after we're done with the devotion, then join in with the group. It's good to be here this morning with you. We're going to be in the book of James, James chapter 1, verses 1 through 8. And I think I'm going to take the opportunity over, I'm kind of a little winded. Like, I ran through the auditorium up the steps.
Rushing around.
Yeah, rushing around. And I just noticed like, whoo. But those of you that know me, that's just how I am. Anyway, I'm going to take the opportunity to go through the book of James over the next several weeks on my Thursdays. Been trying to lock in on something, and I really don't like the random devotional. That's not my style. And so I've been thinking, well, what can I do? And I'm going to just go through the book of James. So just a little bit about it. It's a general epistle. It was authored by James, who was the half-brother of Jesus. It was dated between 45 and 50 AD, and the whole purpose of the book is to explain practically how Christians should live by faith and work out their faith every day. So, I mean, what an appropriate book is how we work out our faith. And so, I don't know about you, but I think that you'll make a bunch of decisions today. Like, I don't know how many decisions, Darren, do you think you'll make today? Thousands?
Probably.
Like, I don't know if you've ever thought about that, but like there are a ton of decisions that people make. I know I was thinking, my day started pretty early. I'm not a morning riser, but I've got my John Wood guys out at 6 a.m. and we practice before school. And I was thinking all the decisions I had to make right before they ever got there. What are we doing in terms of our soccer regiment and the training piece and the protocols and all that? I don't know. I probably had 100 decisions right there. So let's just say there's 1,000 decisions you have to make a day. Some very, very small, like what you're going to eat for lunch. Others maybe how am I going to relate to this problem, this challenge, this trial of life. What we understand about ourselves is that we put faith in a whole bunch of stuff, don't we? Like when you think about it, did we put some faith in doctors and scientists in the COVID? Well, sure we did. I mean, a whole country, the whole world said, we're waiting on you to help us with this. We put in our faith in you. In fact, I don't know if you've thought about it, but you see those little vials coming out of the production line at the pharmacy factory or whatever. And man, there's a lot of faith that that's going to do the job, and that they did their job to make sure that we're all not going to die from the vaccine. So like there's a lot of faith. There's faith in government, there's faith in family, there's faith in leaders, there's faith in jobs, health, and then there's our faith in ourselves. And that's not what we're really wanting to focus on today. Actually, we want to focus on shifting our faith to God, and that we would have faith in Him. So you have your Bible, James chapter 1, verse 1. It says, James, a servant of God and of the Lord Jesus Christ, to the 12 tribes scattered among the nations. So it was written to the children of Israel, believers, believing Jews in the first century. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, when you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete and not lacking anything. If anyone lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. But when you ask, you must believe, here's this faith part of it, and not doubt, because the one who doubts is like the waves on the sea blown and tossed by the wind. That the person should not expect to receive anything from the Lord. Such a person is double-minded, unstable in all his ways. There's a lot we could talk about, but really where I'm going to head us down a path this morning is really the object of our faith, and then when we're to have and exercise faith. The first thing is in verse 2 through 4. And I don't know if you've ever thought about it, Darren. I don't know if you've ever thought about this, but I think it's a great way to think. And that is that, in my decision moments, I'm indecisive. I don't know what to do. I've got a relational issue. I've got a financial issue. I've got a health issue. I've got a career change. I don't know how to solve a problem. And that is when faith can be operationalized very practically, is that we need to have faith in trials. So how he frames it is, consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, when you face trials of many kinds, because the testing of your faith produces perseverance. I have this little note down here from Warren Wiersbe that he has a commentary on James, and he says this, and I'm going to read this to you. In his commentary on James, Warren Wiersbe writes, our values determine our evaluations. Our values determine our evaluations. If we value comfort more than character, then trials will upset us. If we value the material and physical more than the spiritual, we will not be able to count it all joy. If we live only for the present and forget the future, trials will make us bitter, not better. So then that frames the whole context of what James is saying. I think Warren Wiersbe is right, is that our attitude toward trials really determines, who we are and how we go about evaluating. Our priorities are really a sign in terms of how we're going to deal with struggles. So do I consider it joy when I go through trials? I went through about, I don't know how many trials last week, Darren. It was crazy. It really was. In fact, it would have been last Tuesday. I had a cracked tooth on a Monday. Maybe it was a Monday a week ago. Cracked tooth, I'm in pain. The same day, the parsonage shower began to leak down into the basement office where all Lisa's books are. So then there's water going everywhere, and you think, well, that's not a big deal. And then we have another property in which that was leaking at the same time that we had to deal with that. So 2 leaks, a toothache, and then one of my players got COVID, which then that took us down a road of just restrictions and quarantines and sorting all that out. And I couldn't even think of what would be next. And so I was in that moment of trials, and truly what came to my mind is that this is a moment for growth. What do I need? And I asked myself, what do I need to learn in this moment? And there were some things that I discovered. One is that it heightened my understanding of where and when to give grace to other people. Because in that moment, I needed grace. I needed some patience from other people, some mercy. I needed people to really say, hey man, you're up against it right now. And there were people that were a part of that were helpful. There were people that weren't. And the lesson for me, once again, was to be a gracious person when people were in trial. So I learned, and I even though it was difficult, I was learning in that moment. Hey, I'm 55 years old. So anyway, the first thing is that we need to have faith in trials. See the big picture. I didn't even get upset. I had so many things going wrong, Darren. I really did. I thought, you know what? This is a trial. There's no doubt this is a trial. You couldn't put these things all together in a series of moments. And so I didn't get upset. I didn't get frustrated. I just said, God, you know what? I'm just going to take one step at a time and we'll solve it as it goes. I'm still digging out of that mess. And this is Thursday of the following week. Just all the things that you have to do. And so it's so appropriate that we think in terms of having faith in our trials, because there is something that's being produced. And it says, because the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature, complete, and not lacking anything. So faith in trials. Like if I'm going through a trial, it's okay because God's at work. He's got this. The second thing in verses 5 through 8, and we'll get done here, is we need to have faith when asking God. So we have a trial. We can go to God. You have all these decisions that you need to make today. Some difficult, some not so difficult. Ask God. Through those moments and through those trials, knowing that he's going to answer. So ask God, no hedging. It says this in verse 5, if any of you lack wisdom, that's me. How about you, Darren, right?
Yep.
I'm glad you're up here because I feel like I'm not talking to a camera. I'm talking to a person. Hey, we're having a devotion together, Darren and I. If anyone lacks wisdom, that's me. Often, it says you should ask God who gives generously to all. So I don't know if you've thought about it, but maybe the thing that you need to do on this day when you get into that decision moment that's tricky is ask God. He is there, he is present, and he will show us the way. Oftentimes not the way that we think, oftentimes not the answer we want, but faith believing that he is going to provide and not only provide, but give to us the way out of a situation, a circumstance. But when you ask, you must believe and no doubt. Because the one who doubts is like the wave of the sea, blown, tossed by the wind. That person should not expect to receive anything from the Lord. Such a person is double-minded and unstable in all his ways. Just one last thing I'm going to say about that. We need to have faith in our trials. We need to have faith when we ask God. And that has a lot to do with our relationship with God. When I am interacting with anybody, the more I talk to staff members, the more that we connect. It's amazing how the conflict goes down. Communication works that way. You're having communications with problems with somebody. Well, usually it's because there's not been enough words used or not the right words used or not the right tone. And it works the same way with God. If you feel like he's far away and aloof and you're doubting whether, increase that activity, that spiritual activity of talking to God. You've got all these decisions. You could even try that today. It's simply talk to God through the decisions you make. And what you're going to find is connectivity. With that connectivity, you're going to see that he's present, he's near. And that will strengthen your faith so that when you ask, you can ask in faith knowing that God is going to deliver. Because the Bible tells us very clearly, any man that lacks wisdom, if he asks God, it's going to be given to him. So it's a relationship concept. So we're talking about faith in life. And the first two pieces of faith and how it's applied is faith in trials. Knowing that, you know what? God is going to grow me. And then faith in asking, knowing that God's going to answer. So I don't know what you got going on today, but that's a word from the Lord. Have a great day. We'll see you Sunday. Make sure you sign up for the churches. We had a huge day on Sunday. In fact, we were filled up, so make sure you get right on that and that we'll be able to accommodate everyone at Columbus Road. Have a great day.